First, thank you all for coming out to hear what we have to say about local redistricting in Augusta, Richmond County. And I have with me some of my colleagues from the from the delegation of the Augusta Legislative Branch. And the reason we are here is because we are frustrated with the process of how things are going here at the Capitol, here in our chamber, and obviously over in the Senate chamber, because the Senate member is here. And so therefore we wanted to come and express our concerns. And I'll start off by saying that the process in Augusta, we started out back in July with an ad hoc committee that consisted of 12 members, 4 commission members, 4 Board of Education members, and 4 delegation members. And that process lasted until December of 2021. And it was a timeline, and we met our timeline, and we came up with a map that we all, I can't remember the exact count.
6-4.
6-4. There was a 6-4 vote on the ad hoc committee that gave us the green light to move forward with the process. Now, we as House members and Senate members, we can go in and go against the will of the people, a will of those elected back in the local districts. We could have gone against that, but we chose not to. And because we felt like the map was fair, as fair as we could get it. There's no perfect map, but it was one that we could live with. So we went on and brought those maps here to Atlanta, and once we got them back here in Atlanta, we dropped the bill back on February the 1st to introduce it as local legislation. Once the bill was introduced, it was not sent to Intergovernmental Affairs like most local bills are, and it was sent to governmental affairs, which means that right out the box, these 2 bills were going to be treated on the House side as general legislation. As general legislation, we know we as Democrats, we don't have a chance. And therefore, we are protesting right now. We are saying that we're frustrated with the process. We're frustrated with the way things have gone. And we wanted to show that, express our feelings on that. And with that being said, I'll pass this mic on to my colleague, Representative Gloria Frazier.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Thank you all for coming. As you just heard, Cobb County, Gwinnett last week, and now it's Augusta Richmond County Day here on Valentine's Day. So where is the love? We're gathered today in solidarity to object to this blatant attempt by Republican legislators to circumvent a fair, transparent process. All throughout Georgia, local committees were formed to review, to redraw, and approve their district maps. These local committees work together to gather community feedback and carefully and thoughtfully present well-developed, fair district maps, which were agreed upon by their respective local government. This process is called home rule, local control. The district maps for the Augusta-Richmond County Commission and Board of Education were among those redrawn and approved, and now in an attempt to either retain regain or secure power, Republican representatives have proposed redistricting maps for the County Commission and the Board of Education in a process that neither provides transparency nor allows the citizens of Augusta-Richmond County to voice their opinions and or consideration. This only dismisses the concept of home rule for local governments. It is also extremely undemocratic. While there is claims that the proposed maps preserve communities of interest, what they really reflect is partisan gerrymandering and attempts to redraw districts to their advantage. This process is not just about race, it's about business and social economic growth. We have community there in Richmond County that has been established over 100 years old. We have Republicans in our delegation who want to preserve those communities that has been together for over 100 years old. We have communities like that across the state. But we cannot preserve communities over 100 years old because of race. So if you have a community with all white folk that's been preserved for 100 years old in any given area in the states, that means that that area is not growing and there's no diversity. So that needs to be changed. So the citizens of Augusta-Richmond County deserve better. In 2012, we stood right here, Representative Howard, myself, and other members that are deceased and not in this delegation, and we fought the same fight about drawing fair maps in Augusta-Richmond County. And here we are again today, 10 years later, doing the exact same thing, dividing our city. I am exhausted mentally and physically from trying to explain to my constituents on where their maps are. So we are here today because the citizens of Augusta-Richmond County deserve better. They deserve transparency, honesty, and fairness in this process. My folk in Augusta-Richmond County have the right to elect who represents them, not have a party select who represents them. So we stand here today in solidarity against the Senate bill that has been proposed by our senators in our delegation for Augusta-Richmond County, and the citizens of Richmond County want their maps that they voted on and redrew for the citizens of Augusta-Richmond County. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm State Senator Harold Jones out of Augusta, Georgia. And thank you for coming today. And as you realize, today, Cobb County is now having their argument. Augusta had their argument on last Thursday, and will also still be going in front of a House committee to talk about their redistricting maps. Today, the fact of the matter is that Augusta-Richmond County has been ignored, Cobb County has been ignored. When we look at this, we find out that in Richmond County, we went through a democratic process, one where we had an ad hoc committee which voted basically our district lines out, our commission and Board of Education lines out. That then went to a Richmond County Commission. It also went to a Richmond County Board of Education. And through that process, those lines were agreed upon and those lines were voted out. And those lines are represented in HB 1120 and 1121, which may not even get a hearing in the House. And unfortunately, what has taken place is 2 senators representing Augusta decided on their own, unilaterally, without any input from the citizens, where the citizens that went through the whole process over a whole summer period and fall period of giving their input and decided that they wanted to create 2 other maps, which is SB 457 and SB 458. And that is, of course, what we were arguing on last week. The uncomfortable truth about this is that the ad hoc committee was majority African American, the county commission is majority African American, and the school board is majority African American. And the uncomfortable truth about this is that their wishes and their desires have been completely ignored as they went through a thorough vetting process, through the democratic process, and that has been completely ignored. And it takes us back to a time that we thought we had moved past, but apparently we have not. The also uncomfortable truth is that there are two particular precincts which are very uncomfortable when you look at the fact of this, one of which is District 3. The map that was passed, that went through the process in what we call District 3, was 46% African American. This new map makes it 42% African American. Retrogression. What the committee decided was that that would not fit the constitutional mandate. The fact of the matter is that there's another district, which is District 8, which was 34% African American, and that has been retrograded to 31% African American under the new maps. This is complete voting retrogression. It's against the Constitution, it's against fairness, and it's against what the people of Richmond County have requested and asked for. And we should do better than that. And this body, whether it's in the House or the Senate, should be doing better than that, but we're not. And unfortunately, when we talk about this, it may even be beyond partisan gerrymandering, but quite frankly, racial gerrymandering. And that's where we are. Quite frankly, that is exactly where we are, and it's unfortunate. And so I respect colleagues for being here today. Persons have committee members. The House is still fighting over maps. Augusta will be fighting either today or tomorrow when they go through their particular committee. And we would hope that eventually that the correct maps, the ones that went through the democratic process, will be passed out of the House, and then we can make a determination which ones actually should be signed by the governor. And with that, if any of my colleagues has any other comments, otherwise we'll open it up for any questions. That's the interesting part about that, because actually the way that District 3 that I described, they actually do not have African American representation. They actually have a white commissioner, which depended upon the black vote to actually win that seat. So the idea that you automatically have things go down racial lines is not correct. The correct thing is, this is what the people in Richmond County said that how the line should be drawn. Those lines are drawn based on current data. That data existed in the 2020 election, which yielded basically a white commissioner over 2 black candidates. And it did not go down racial lines. If you look at the voting patterns, it was the African Americans in that district that actually voted for that particular candidate. So that's the key thing. Why not then say, look, we are going to follow the right process. So when we start talking about, this is not us saying that we ought to have this because we're trying to select a certain person. That's been done. The African American vote actually voted for someone against 2 African American candidates. So it's not us, it's persons who don't trust that voting process later, and now it's saying, well, we want to try to rig the system. And those are just the facts. So initially, a person may say, oh, they just want to elect someone of their choice. That's not accurate at all. We had an election under this current data, quite frankly, under this current data, and the African American vote actually chose a white candidate over 2 black candidates. Those are the facts. Then why are we going back? Why are we doing retrogression becomes the question.
I would also like to add that Augusta-Richmond County has over 200,000 residents. Our percentage is 61.7% African Americans and 34% whites. So it is virtually impossible for us to try to do that, play that race card. Augusta-Richmond County is a diverse community. When I was elected 16 years ago, we were at like 53%. It is now 61.7%. And so the diversity is there. There is no racism as it relates to who select or get selected, because what Senator Jones just explained to you is that that person in District 8 was elected more than once by African Americans. So all we are here today to do is to present the maps that were given by Augusta-Richmond County, and we hope that the House and the Senate will accept those maps that were sent up here for us to make sure that they get passed. Thank you. Any more questions?
Let me, one other thing. Hello? Yes. Okay, one other note. as you've heard from my other two colleagues, the district that we are speaking of had an increase of about 6,500 people since the last redistricting. It's the fastest growing district, as you heard earlier, and the districts around it were not as fortunate to have the growth. So you have to, according to reapportionment, redistricting, balance that and make sure you have that one person, one vote enacted in order for this to happen. So when you spread that out, you still have an opportunity for representation, but as my Representative Frazier just mentioned, the previous commissioners from that district have all been white, if you want to look at it that way. And as Senator Jones has mentioned, that district voted for a white commissioner over a couple of black candidates. So it's a fair process if you allow it to work. So we're just asking for that to happen.
Thank you. Thank you all so much for coming.